Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome back to the second hour of LoveBabz, Love Talk. I wasn't here for the first hour, but I'm back here because I want to celebrate my friend Kevin Walton. Unmute yourself, Kevin Walton. So Kevin, y'all know Kevin Walton. He is the award-winning basketball coach for the men's basketball team. And his day gig is over there with ACES doing, I would imagine, Kevin, equity and inclusion work. What are you doing over there for ACES? I can't hear you. Uh-oh. You might have to turn up the volume. Listen, I have tech problems all the time. Let me tell you. So. This
has been happening all week.
There you go. All right, I hear you.
I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
1 second. I'm sorry.
I hear you. Now I hear you. It's all right. We all have tech issues. Listen, I have tech issues every damn day. Every day. Every day when I do this work. There is some kind of glitch of some sort. I am no stranger to glitches. I'm here to tell you. So Kevin will come back in a few minutes. And don't worry, we have good time. We have a good amount of time to carry out the conversation. But he's coming on to talk about the Epsilon Iota Iota and the Chi Omicron chapters of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Inc. And All Access Training is presenting this first annual Youth Leadership Summit. So they have workshops, networking, and entertainment. And it's happening Saturday, November 11th at Wilbercross High School. And it's going to be a wonderful Saturday. And this registration is for ages 14 through 18. So if you got some young men or young men or young people between 9 and 1 o'clock on Saturday, go and register them. Go and register them. And get this, the keynote is June Boy, William Outlaw, award-winning community advocate. So and he always brings the real talk. So might be a good idea if you know some young people to get them to cross 9 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock, and I'm sure they'll feed these kids. So I'm sure they'll feed them and provide nourishment and water. So Kevin's gonna come on because I want to know what the thinking is. I love when Divine Nine get together and do stuff like this for the community, and we do it all the time. Sometimes it goes unnoticed and unrecognized, but I think this is a worthwhile endeavor, and when you see Black men come together to get young people together, it's a wonderful opportunity for our young people to learn from some seasoned men in the community, find upstanding brothers of Omega Psi Phi in the community. So while Kevin is working on his tech issues, and listen, Kevin, don't you worry, you'll get it worked out, because I go through this all the time. I have tech issues all the time. But I am curious to know what the thinking is around this and why now. Was something the catalyst for this? Has it been in the works for quite some time? We're about to jump into the holiday season. For some of us, we're already in the holiday spirit. So, just that kind of stuff you want to know, what the thinking was. what the planning was. And if this is first, that means there'll be a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth, and then it'll become, I guess, an annual event. And I'm interested in knowing what the entertainment is about. I'm sure it's entertainment geared toward young people. So I'm looking forward to it. And I did let Tom Breen know that it was happening, because I don't know if you want press or if press is a good idea, but I think it's good to let folks know about stuff and to after the fact, and then they'll want to come next year too. So I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to it. And it makes me think about the 80s, when there was a lot of youth summits and youth meetings. So I hear you, Kevin.
That doesn't work.
I hear you.
Can you hear me, Babz?
Yes, I hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Why? It's all right.
I don't know why that's been happening all week. I do apologize.
It's fine. Listen, I tell people I have tech issues every day.
Man, I do apologize. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's fine. All right, so Kevin, the Epsilon Iota chapter and the Chi Omicron chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Inc. and All Access Training Inc. Are doing this first annual Youth Leadership Summit. So what's the thinking behind this? How long did y'all decide to do this? What was the catalyst? Okay, now I can't hear you. I think you might have a short somewhere. You might have a short somewhere in your audio cord or something. I think you have a short. Your cord might have a short in it. So that's all right. We'll make it do what it do. Don't you worry. I don't lose no sleep over technical issues anymore. I used to be like, oh my God. But now I'm like, if we get good 10, 15 minutes in, I think that's a win.
Can you hear me, Babz?
I can hear you.
All right, I'll try this again. So I'll talk quick. So thanks for having me. And I think that the initial answer to your question is that, this is something that we've been thinking about for a while. Like, we do a mentoring program. Our fraternity, they have a big leadership conference. But I think while we've been thinking about it and doing a little thing, I think the timing of it is the timing right now seems to be right. We just know that there's a lot of disengaged young people out there, and we didn't necessarily need the Dalio Foundation report to tell us that. We knew that because we're in the trenches, we're doing this work. But there are so many. I think a lot of times we focus a lot of the attention on the squeaky wheel, the kids who get a lot of attention, and there are so many other kids, so a diverse group of kids who just need to see be engaged with people who are doing different things in the community. So for us, it was just an opportunity to get together with some young people who just kind of share space with them about how to build community and offer any supports to them that we can.
All right, so I would imagine, Kevin, you have a scheduled program and cover all kinds of things.
Yeah, we do. So the day we'll begin. We'll have a light breakfast for the attendees, and then DJ Dana Game will be there providing some music for us as well. And we'll have some speakers. The principal, Matt Brown, will be there to welcome people, as will the alder. But then once we get into the workshops, we have a workshop being facilitated by Greg Johnson, who's going to do a piece on hip hop and housing around the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and kind of understanding that the hip hop started in public housing, and just kind of breaking that stigma of what people may feel about public housing, and making that connection. And then we have one of our young graduate, just graduated from UNH, Fees Dingambizi. He's going to be doing a piece on emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. And we have someone doing a piece on communication, and then I'll be doing a piece on leadership. And so that's the thing. We're going to rotate kids through, so each facilitator will get opportunity to speak to kids twice. We also have Manny Camacho from Ice the Beef, who's going to give a quasi state of the youth address. Ice the Beef has been a good partner with us, has Connecticut VIP, and then we'll have a bunch of other invited guests, but also the keynote speaker is going to be William Juneboy Outlaw, who was just gonna just kind of tell his story to young people. And so that's what the day is going to consist of. And of course, we'll have some lunch for them as well. Beyond the Salt food truck, we'll be providing lunch for our young
Wow. People. Oh, that's fancy.
Yeah.
I might have to ride by just
yeah, come through. We'll have some.
So what is it about this time, Kevin? Because I mean, you could do this in the summer, but here we are in fall. So what is it about this moment in time that makes this ideal?
I think that's a great question. And what happened was it just kind of the timing of our schedules. But this also, Sunday starts Achievement Week. So all through the all chapters across the country, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated will be celebrating Achievement Week from Sunday to Sunday.
Okay.
And so we'll be doing sort of activities throughout the community, and then this will be the kickoff of that.
I think you made a very good point at the beginning.
I lost you again.
Oh,
I lost you again, Babz.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Uh-oh.
I need a new computer.
You might just need a new cord. Can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Horrible.
All right. Can you hear me now? Okay.
I don't know. Man.
On the bottom left of your screen, you'll choose an audio source. You got that? Can you hear me? It might be time for a new computer. Listen, I had to do that. I had to upgrade. So let's see. All right. Now it's tough. You still can't hear me. You can't hear me still? You can hear me? I can't hear you. So, and now you have your mute button on. Okay. All right, we got. You can log on from your phone.
Yeah, I probably should do that.
And then turn it landscape, and it'll look like your desktop. So you could log out of yeah, that might. Do you have the yeah,
I do.
Link?
I got it.
Yeah. And then just turn it on the landscape. Just turn the phone on the side. Like, like turn it like this, and you'll never miss a beat. Thanks, Harry. I was like, Harry's like, yeah, use your phone. Yeah, because
recording in progress.
All right, so he's gonna log out of this. There you go. Now turn your phone on the side.
All right.
You turn your phone like this?
Yeah, turn it like this, like that.
Yeah, like that. That's perfect. Yeah.
I'm sideways. Am I sideways?
No, you're fine.
Okay. Can you hear me better now? I'm sorry.
I hear you perfectly well. I see you perfectly fine.
Monday morning, I'm taking this computer right back to Aces.
And say, this doesn't work for me.
This is embarrassing. All right, I'm sorry. So yeah.
Oh, don't be embarrassed. I have tech problems all the time. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. Don't worry about it. Seriously, it is the nature of the beast.
That's why I'm reluctant to do workshops via Zoom or Teams because of this. This would be disastrous.
Well, once you get the right equipment, it becomes fine. So, you just probably need to upgrade or if there's a short somewhere. So anyway, back to the conversation. You make a good point at the beginning of the conversation about the squeaky wheel, and we used to call them the youth at risk. Like we would identify those kids at youth at risk, but I think every kid is at risk. So all the other kids never, all the kids who might be on the fence, who might be in danger of slipping into problems or just never get looked at, are often go unnoticed in these larger conversations that we have about how do we serve youth. And I like the fact that y'all are thinking about that population of young people.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point, right? A while back, Karen and I were having this conversation, and we talked about all young people being at risk, and so that becomes like an outdated term. And just to have the opportunity to engage, and if you look around, people do, like, we have so many people doing great work in the city. Some, and if you break into categories, some are doing intervention, some are doing prevention, and others are doing, other things. But we look at it there because I think we all have these experiences though for the grace of God, but for the grace of God that me personally is still here, right? So I can imagine the impact of this would have had, or the profound impact this may have had on my life had I had the opportunity to engage with this level of successful men when I was 16, 17, 15 years old.
That's pretty powerful. And so have you all identified young people? Like, have people called you up and said, you know what, we got a group of kids over here that would be great? Or how did you open this up to them? How do they find out?
So I think it was good and bad. So first and foremost, we looked at our connection. So a lot of our kids at Cross who play basketball were interested in doing. That's where we do a lot of our mentoring. So we started there, and then we branched out. We wanted to work directly, actually, ironically, with the Deltas, New Haven alumni, with the DAG program. But the timing wasn't right there. And so we were inviting people using networks in the school system, youth serving organizations, but we didn't hit as many as we could have. And I think that was purposely because we wanted to kind of just do a test run. And then our goal next year is just to have as many youth serving organizations involved come together and make this program just continue to grow and let young people know that folks are here and we're not just about rolling out basketballs and sports, but we want to engage kids around academics, science, reading, math, and because we all have a part to play in kind of helping our young people navigate this world right now. This world is crazy, and we talk all the time. Like, I don't know if I would be able to survive as a teenager nowadays.
I think about that too, Kevin, because they have way more, the world has way more access to them than when I was a kid. Like, the world didn't have access to me in the way that they do. They have social media, so they can connect all over the place from all vantage points. And I think we didn't have that. So you had to like call somebody on a phone, right? Like,
yeah, right. Right, you never know. Like when you call that phone and that young lady's mother answers, and you're like, "What?"
and you couldn't really have beef on a house phone, right? Like, you couldn't call. I mean,
right? You had to click over just to have beef with someone. Bring it in. But one of the things that we've noticed and really important is that even where I work, and then also the space at Cross, and then in other spaces, what I've noticed is that we have an issue with the way we're interacting with each other. And I'm not going to at the feet of just young people, but this is the audience we're talking about now. And I haven't seen it this bad, just like a lack of ability to communicate, a lack of ability to a need to learn how to accept criticism, how to deal with adversity. And I think like the pandemic has just aspirated that. And we talked about statistically saying that we were going to see the impact of academics 10 years from now. Well, we're seeing that now. But aren't really talking about the socialism and the socializing of kids. And I think between social media and then kind of this whole year and a half of lost interaction and socialization is starting to play itself out in these arenas with young people, whether it's on social media or whether it's together. Because some of the language that I hear them using towards each other is just not only is it unacceptable, but it's dangerous type of language. Yeah. You know, I never really say to my young players like back in the day stuff, but I do say this in this instinct, like the way they talk to each other is crazy. And some of that stuff would have got them seriously hurt back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't hear much about conflict resolution skill sets anymore. I feel like kids are very, very angry, Kevin. Like, and you're right. I get to listen to some conversations because I'm in spaces with kids sometimes. And there's a lot of anger, rage underneath a lot of stuff. And it comes out and manifests its ways and in such dangerous, life-changing ways. And I would say we've always had this, but I don't hear enough conflict resolution intervention stuff going on. And maybe I'm just not connected, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I imagine there are folks out there doing it. And I know, right, Lynn and Jihad's group, Connecticut VIP, they're trained in that type of work. But you know, they're at the extreme end, right?
Yeah.
I talk about the ones who aren't about that life, right? As we say, like the kids who just don't understand maybe the ramifications of not being able to handle a conflict or resolving a conflict, you know, because we tell kids all the time, you can't talk crap on social media and then show up at school and think nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, in their young mind, they think, okay, well, I said what I said, it's over. And it's like, no, it's like 1,000 people saw you say what you said on social media about this person.
And then everybody instigates it, right? And it fans into such a bigger thing. So is that some of the stuff that you're going to at least kind of talk a little bit about with them on Saturday?
Well, that's the beginning, right? Because this is going to be ongoing. And so we're going to, while we have our captured audience of young people at Wilbur Cross, we're going to invite people in to come and share space with them, hold space with them, share their stories, connect with them, and, you know, also help young people start looking towards the future about what it is that they may want to do when they, you know, get out of school, right? Because we tell them, if you come to Cross, you play basketball, maybe 4 years, like this is just a blip on this journey of life. And our job is to help you prepare along that continuum. And this is the conversation that needs to begin, whether it's at home, whether it's at school, or whether it's with coaches or whomever adults are privileged enough to be engaged with young people. But it is bad because I know we're talking about young people, but they're getting this behavior from somewhere, and they're getting it from us adults. And I'm not saying from adults.
Oh no, I agree, because adults are angry too. I see a lot of people walking around with the world of hurt and don't have communication skills. You know, I mean, serious communication skills. And, you know, the first thing that you hear is, I felt disrespected, you know, and then that becomes a fight. Like that's the jump off point. Yeah. And it's breathtaking that it'll come to something that can't be undone by virtue of a misunderstanding.
And usually it's a misunderstanding because, you know, people aren't listening, or like you said, it's a matter of them being embarrassed when you're in big groups and not like you feel like you're being challenged and you don't want to look like, and that hasn't changed, right? That's always been the thing. I think it's just now I'm just seeing that, and I've been doing this 20 plus years. I've never seen it at this level in terms of kids who aren't like really, you know, kids out there doing their thing in the streets or whatever. I mean, these are kids that we're talking about that you would never, I've never seen it over the years, but now it's like it's almost everyone and no one's immune to it.
Wow. That's pretty serious, because, you know, you could always identify the kids who, you know, who could slide to the margins, but for whatever reasons, you know, they were kind of not in the streets, but they kind of was adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everybody's got some kind of baggage of anger and rage.
Yeah, and it just manifests itself in just kind of on a low level, just the way they communicate with each other, where they interact with each other. So some of the stuff that we'll do tomorrow is just really use some of the activities that I use when I'm doing facilitating workshops for adults, right? In this equity and inclusion space, and it's really interactive conversations, but really about self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of really making us think about how we impact spaces and things of that nature, right? We said in sports we call them energy zappers. Like those folks who, as soon as they come in the room and the whole dynamic is they just suck the air out of everybody. We're trying to address that.
Yeah. I know a bunch of adults like that.
right. I know a bunch of adults. So they come in and like, oh God, here we go. I better be quiet because I might be that to somebody.
I don't think so, Kev. I don't think so. But that's a very real thing. And if you don't have the skill set to recognize that, understand that, and to deal with that, then it can escalate into something that could be quite life-changing and tragic.
No, absolutely. I think, like you said, so much rage and anger, but I think in not being a psychologist, so not necessarily knowing how that year and a half off for kids in New Haven public schools, how not being in building in space, socializing with each other, how that's impacting them right now. It's just like, I see some kids that are just angry, just like ready to explode at the drop of a dime.
Yeah. And I bet you, Kevin, because we're paying attention to it now closely, but I bet you before the pandemic, it was always a simmering pot.
Mm-hmm.
It was always a simmering pot. And then I think the pandemic exacerbated it a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and you're in a lot of spaces, so we, especially in education, people tend to say, oh, the teacher shortage is being created because of the pandemic. That's not true, right? The teacher shortage was on the horizon 25, 30 years ago, right? Yeah. Pandemic it kind of made it push some people towards retirement and people to retire or search for new work, right? But so we can't blame everything on the pandemic. So the pandemic probably exacerbated stuff and sped stuff up. Because you think about these kids now, these seniors in high school, if I'm correct, they didn't see the inside of a school building until their sophomore year, right? So they left 8th grade, didn't have a graduation, right? Didn't have a wrap-up ceremony in 8th grade, and didn't see it inside of a building until their sophomore year.
Yeah. And even then it was like a hybrid kind of vibe for a minute.
Right.
So
but everyone, come if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's what we're in, and then mental health has now become a huge component of it as well, right? How many kids are just stressed out for whatever reason?
Yeah.
Not being able to kind of deal with that level of stress. And so what are we doing, right? You see the number of kids that are vaping, the number of kids that are smoking cigarettes, smoking marijuana, like getting, and again, like it was always there, but I see it at a whole different level now. Like, kids walking down the street. I ran into a kid who told me he wanted to play basketball lacrosse, and he had 2 packs of backwoods in his hands.
I'm like, son, how you gonna do it?
14 years old, he was a freshman. He had 2. So the thing is this, like back in the day, if I had backwoods and I saw, an adult come out, I would have hit him.
Right.
You put it away. He just was like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Or the number of, if you talk to security guards, the number of weapons that they're taking off kids at schools, or the number of vapes that they're taking. Some kids walking into school with paraphernalia. So again, stuff that's always been there. So we're not blaming this on this generation, but I think we're seeing it now. It's at a boiling point, and it's all coming together.
So what do you want the goal of this of this of this to be? Like what how do you see this growing and developing? I know this is the pilot, right? The first time you're doing this. But what do you want this summit to do? Where do you see it? What's the goal, our overarching goal?
So ironically, the overarching goal is for us as adults to kind of to see how we can fit in and to be of assistance to them, right? We don't want it to be where we want the young people to inform what it is that they need assistance with or help with, and then trying to put them in a connect them to that. But also the opportunity just for kids to just imagine and dream, right? To think about what can be. And if we have other people pouring into them, maybe we're looking for that connection to say, hey, like I did corrections for 20 years and I retired, this and that. And kids say, oh, I want to do criminal justice. Well, if you connect them with someone who does that, help them navigate that thing, right? Help young people spell out, help them navigate kind of what their future is going to look like. And at the end of the day, we really just want to connect adults with young people so young people can have, if they need, someone else just to talk to and serve in that mentor role for them. So listen, we're not expecting to change lives tomorrow or in the future, but what we want to do is just engage with young people and let them know that there are caring adults out there that are willing to help them in any area they need assistance.
And so now, so tell me, so there's two chapters, the Epsilon Iota chapter and the Chi Omicron chapter. Tell me about these two chapters.
Yeah, so Chi Omicron obviously has been around much longer than us, and some folks like L.C. Williams and Marcellus Edwards, Mike Flex. Those are folks in that chapter doing great work. And then in our chapter, we were founded in 1990, and so for the past 30 plus years, we've done all sorts of collaborative partnerships here in New Haven with different organizations, and just trying to do our part. But we're two chapters in a small medium-sized city, but we both continue to work to find where we can be impactful in different areas of the community. But we saw this as a great opportunity to merge the two chapters, and bring their resources to the table, bring our resources to the table for the benefit of our young people and our community.
There's a great deal of wisdom in these two chapters.
No, absolutely.
And talent
absolutely.
So, all right. Well, I'm looking forward to I let Tom Breen know from New Haven Independent. So maybe he'll send somebody over just to cover a little bit of it. I don't know if y'all want press there, but I figured this is such a interesting and necessary time to spend doing this, that it ought to be recorded, that somebody ought to capture it.
Yeah, we would love. I think I did send him some information to the New Haven Independent. I don't know if it directly went to Tom Breen, but one thing I will say is that what we're looking to do, hopefully this time next year, we can be talking about the fact that all members of the Divine Nine are involved in this endeavor, right?
I like it.
Mentoring programs, we all have access to kids, we all have different areas of expertise. So if we can, a year from now, if we have all of those groups, all 9, bringing their young people together, I think it would be a beautiful, beautiful event.
I love it, because all of us have some sort of mentoring, youth outreach, programming concept to us. So
absolutely,
that would be good.
Well, that's the goal next year. That's the goal, to have like everyone involved, doing something, lots of kids engaged, and then connecting on, right? We'll have Higher Heights will be there tomorrow. So Dr. Shackelfelder's group will be there with some information. And I think a couple other folks will be there, and that's the other thing we want to grow as a resource sphere. So we'll have more opportunities for organizations to have access to young people. Chamber of Commerce will be there tomorrow, because we'll be doing we're engaging in a survey, right? We've been working around kind of to address, some of the crime in New Haven and how it's impacting businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, trying to target young people. So this is the start there, doing a survey, kind of like what it is that you'd like to see, kind of stuff we've done, but just another way to engage with young people. So we're looking forward to having all of the organizations next year just be a part of this.
Okay. I think you've just put the invite out there.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think you just put it out there. So
yeah.
Thank you for your time this morning, Kevin. I'm so looking forward to this, and I know it's going to be a success.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. And we're looking forward. So we're gonna go do some shopping today and get ready for tomorrow.
All right. Well, keep me posted, and feel free to come back on anytime you want to talk about anything. I'd appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Take good care. Enjoy your weekend.
Still.
All right. Okay, good people. There's stuff going on. So if you know young people, get them over to Wilbur Cross tomorrow morning and from 9 to 1. It's a youth summit. And listen, we need to do something with our young people. And here's an opportunity for them to be in the presence of fine brothers, fine, upstanding, God-fearing, community-focused, collegiately trained Black men. And if you've never seen that before, go look at it tomorrow. So thank you all. And I'll be back on Monday. Hey, Harry, I hope everything is well with you. And I believe I do have a guest on Monday. Possibly. I think I do. Or if I don't, I will. So I will see y'all. And thank you to all that has served our country in memory and in remembrance of veterans everywhere, near and far, here and in the afterlife. Thank you for your service. See y'all later.
Rawls.